Hey everybody, Conodger here. Welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game. Today we're going to continue on working through the cars scenarios. Last time we did the Luxobarger. This time we're going to do rice and curry. The just stereotypically enough named challenge where we will create an East Asian market car that is basically one of those new super econo cars. Is how I would describe it. We gotta get 39.2 miles per gallon, weight less than 2,100 pounds ish, and pretty cheap. So let's go ahead and get started. Jump right into it. We are in 2008, which is pretty much when the, as for the American market where I reside, basically when the Korean car market started to take over the economy car market here. For a long time it was the Japanese manufacturers that had that kind of corner in the market. Then in the early 2000s, the domestic American market kind of started to reclaim some of that, but then the Korean market just kind of destroyed it with their reliable, cheap, and efficient cars. So that is what we're going to be building today. I don't think we have enough money to be spending a lot of extra time or cost with fancy carbon fiber or anything like that, so we're just going to go with corrosion resistant steel. It will be, it does give you the option, doesn't it? But I think the smart choice is going to be to go for the transverse, and we'll go with struts, and it will be front wheel drive, so I'm probably going to go for a semi-trailing arm setup, which is a pretty good front-wheel drive rear suspension option from what I have seen. Front-wheel drive cost, we don't have the money for all-wheel drive as much as I would like to. So as for the panel material, corrosion-resistant steel would be my first gut instinct option, but I think I want to look at maybe doing a polymer body because it is lightweight and doesn't have a higher tooling cost. And it's a little cheaper. Material cost is, or the cheaper to produce, I guess, is how you would describe the production units. And material cost is the same. It has a low safety rating, but looking over here, safety not really important. Well, it's I don't want to say that. It's not in the ratings, so we will still make it a safe car, but it's not important to keep the steel to have the safety. Is how I'm justifying it. I'm going to go ahead and do a 1 bump in quality here because I think it's going to be necessary for the weight that I want to achieve. So we'll continue on there. We got a choice between two bodies. We can do the we can do the 5-door, we can do the 2-door. No, they're both 5 doors. Interesting. So we can do the really ugly one or the only kind of ugly one. There's the one option. There's the other. Yeah, I like this one. It's a little bit more slim looking, modern looking. It actually looks staggeringly similar to the car my roommate just purchased, a Mazda 2. So he'll get a kick out of that, and I'll even make it the same color as his. His is metallic green, but this one is just bright ass green, lime green. So what can we do? Let me work on the body a little bit, and I'll show you what I come up with. Alrighty, there we go. I like it. It's not overly happy looking, which is a major theme with these tiny cars and the what are they calling them, hot hatches, is that they always look so damn happy. they're always kind of like demented looking. So this one's somewhere in between. It's pretty happy looking, but it's not serial killer happy looking. So I think that's good enough. Tiny little tailpipe. Alright, continuing on. So, we gotta build an engine for this guy, and now let's really take a close look at the stats we need to achieve. These are the limitations. Utility more than 50, we shouldn't have to worry about that for now. The economy 39.2, we will have to worry about that right now. Reliability more than 70, we'll worry about that too. And 0 to 60 in under 12 seconds should be easy to achieve, and regular unleaded. Other than that, pretty much open down here. Manufacture time, we shouldn't even get close to that. So I'm going to do an inline 4. Obviously, I'm going to do it in aluminum, so aluminum blocked and aluminum head of about 1.5 liters. Seems to be pretty much the theme of these cars. So we'll give this a little drop. Try and make it as square as possible. Perfect. And cheap. We could go for... That gives us a very high emission reduction. That is good. I don't think we need to go for the cast because it doesn't. And it won't save us that much money. Hardly any at all. So continuing on, it's going to be... Now here's an interesting thing. I could make it dual overhead cam. That is kind of the standard nowadays. Or I could try and save a little money and do like a 4-valve single overhead cam setup. So let's see, 65 and 7 versus 81 and 9. So yeah, I think I'm going to try that. It's something we can return to later. I'm going to try and keep compression pretty high. That's been something that has been getting popular, is building these small engines with very high compression to make up for the small displacement. Mazda obviously has been doing a lot with that. That is the basis of their SkyActiv technology. They do a lot of other strange things to kind of supplement that, but high compression is a main factor of it. I think I'm going to throw VVT on there. It's a cheap little upgrade that will help us with our economy and power. And let's see about putting... Yeah, a lime green car with a bright yellow valve cover. Sounds good. We'll be in A. We'll be injected. Now, I've been in a personal debate of putting direct injection on it or not. That's another thing we'll probably return to if I need it. I'm going to go with just the MPI for now. Standard intake. Throttle per cylinder, of course. Just kidding. Regular unleaded. Fuel mix. Gosh, I can never remember these values perfectly correctly, but we want it to be pretty lean to get our mileage out of it. We don't need that much power. We're only going to do a 12-second 0 to 60. I will get the timing up there for economy as well. Something tells me I'm probably going to have to reduce the compression. Alright, 7,000 RPM rev limit should be good. And... short cast header should be fine as well. 146 is probably pretty optimistic. Now, we have to build this to certain restraints. Oddly, emissions is not one of them. Probably because this is an easier challenge. So, I'm going to put the 3-way cat on there. But I got to keep in mind that if I get desperate, I can probably take that off and try and get some more values. Try and get some higher scores. Comfort is not, but tameness is. I learned in the last episode that in the first scenario there that a very loud car is not very comfortable. Go figure. So it is important to have at least a muffler on there, despite how ridiculously small this engine is. Alright, so yes, let me actually go ahead and reduce this down to 8.5 because I think it's going to be an issue. Let's go to test mode and see what we got. Everything looks solid. Nothing's even changing color. Not making a whole lot of power though. I'd like to get over 100. So let's go and run a dyno test. So yeah, 94.9. It's really not that bad, and we actually have a lot of fuel octane left. So I was a little overzealous with the cutting of compression. So let's actually bring that back up to 9. That was probably where I should have had it to begin with. And quick test it. 84.2, and we have 86.5 to choose from, or to use. So I'm going to actually go up in timing a little, because it's nice to have a nice balance between the two. 84.6, I can go even higher. And now we're getting close, and we're getting closer to the 100 horsepower, but not terribly close. I've got to decide if I'm okay with that or not. Now we can see we don't need much cooling. Emissions are very high because actually those are okay. What I'm looking for, economy is 20%. That's okay. I think that should get us the 40 mile per gallon, depending how we gear this thing. But let me get every little bit out of I can. No sense in wasting it. 98 horsepower, 86.4, and we have 86.5. Alright, so let's move on. Let's go ahead and stick with this for now. I can adjust these things later if needed. So I'm going to make it a manual because that is the best for economy. Anymore, they're getting very close. Automatic transmissions have improved a lot. It used to be that an automatic transmission car would be 5 to 10 miles per gallon short to the manual counterparts of the same car. It's not really true anymore, so we're just barely going to squeak a little bit more mileage out of the manual. We're going to space it kind of long. We're going to keep the power band in there so we're not like dogging it down and ruining our mileage. And we'll make fifth gear pretty long to give it a nice overdrive. So there we go. Third gear is now completely in its peak power band. So let's move on. We'll do hard tires because I think that will even improve our economy because there's less rolling resistance. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure. And tameness needs to be pretty good, so we don't want to do anything too crazy here, especially since we are going to have these hard tires. Okay, so 185s are what are on it right now. That's kind of industry standard. Gonna give it a little bit more profile. Yeah, there we go. 185/50. I guess that's okay. That'll be all right. Minimum profile allowed 15. Yeah, I don't think we want that. Gotta bump that up just for cool looks. Alright, moving on. Solid discs, and it's a super light car. I'm hoping it's under the 2,100 pound limit. 1 pistons, comfortable brakes, disc size 270 should be alright. Super light car. I'll keep these the same. Go up to about 255 should be good. Not messing with any of the sliders just yet. I'm going to give it the cheap upgrade of the semi-clad, which should help our aero efficiency. Don't need that much cooling, it's all just for show. Get that as close as we can. 78, good. And then I'm going to do a 4-seater because getting 3 people in the back of a car like this is just torture. And we're going to go for basic, I think. Utility more than 50. I don't think it's going to affect the tameness or the utility, so let's go with basic. Entertainment, basic. I'm going to give it power steering and ABS. And we'll go for standard safety. All things we can change in the future. Comfort on the suspension. And I want to see what the weight is before I get too carried away. Alright, so we scored 1051, but we are over man hours and over price. How badly overpriced are we? Massively. Manufacturer hours less than 95. Where is our man hours? Manufacturer time, sorry. Boy, that's a little hard to read now. I guess this is the production units is in line with manufacturer time, so that is just barely over. Okay, so let me think what I can do to reduce maybe the cost of the engine. There's not a whole lot to do there. Interior-wise, that's not a huge difference. Now, there is between these two, though. So let's go with basic. And let's just test it again and see what that does. Okay, so that got our cost down to material cost 47. Alright, this is going to be one of my... I try not to gripe too much, but these specifications should, in my mind, directly relate to things that are easy to find in the statistics screen. Like if I go to test track, or detailed stats is what I meant to go to. Crap. Detailed stats, it still isn't going to show me exactly what my car, what the cost was. That may be a feature that's getting added in the future, but it's very hard to aim for a goal that you can't actually really see. Of course, now I've minimized. There we go. So material cost less than 47.50. Material cost, either I don't know where it is, or I am just not reading it correctly, or it's just not there. So that would be my gripe of the day. But I know that now we are under material cost. We just need to get the manufacture time lower. Now I remembered back when I was working on the platform, I gave this quality bump on the body and the chassis. So let's see what removing that does. Okay, now we're down to 96, so we're getting really close. Now the production units of the engine matter too. Not really anything that's going to cost any money here or here. So yes, let's go back to the engine. And what I'm going to do is, it gives us a 1. So yes, if I take that off, I'll probably have to reduce the compression to match it, because we're going to lose a little bit of efficiency. Yes, all good. Actually, we're probably okay. Yep, still all good. So now go back to trim, go back to testing, and let's see. Are we under 95? No, we got 0.59 to go. Alright, that's okay. So this does not change the production units. And I don't think there's anything less I can choose. I could get rid of ABS, but I don't know if I really want to. Yeah, I could get rid of all the entertainment, so let's do that. No entertainment for you. Alright, that gets us bronze. So we're working in the right direction. I want to get at least silver, though. So let's look at our tameness. 57, that's pretty good. Weight is way under. Let me look at the detailed, no, it's test track. And see our 0 to 60. 8.0, so we're actually a little quicker than we need to be. So I could potentially make this engine even smaller, reduce our weight and our cost. Let's do that. Alright, so I went down to a 1.2 liter and still have room to go with the 0 to 60, so I'm going to keep going down. Now this is eventually going to hurt our tameness, I believe, if we make it too slow. So we'll see, we'll track how that does. And then let's go ahead and test it, run through again. We're getting better. We have about 45 points to go till silver. And let's see how close we're getting. 10.6. So now we're getting really close to being too slow. Let's look at the detailed stats. Tameness is up at 60, so that's not too bad. What is hurting us? Yes, lateral acceleration. You see, that is a penalty of tameness if it's too slow to accelerate. And that's also, I believe, part of dynamic response is involved with that as well. I'm not 100% sure. But we're also getting no wheel spin. That's actually showing a 5% loss, isn't it? So I've lost wheel spin by making the engine smaller, but we're still getting some. Interesting. So maybe that's something to do with gearing. So let's space these out even further. Let's see what that does. Okay, that gave us a very small increase in tameness. But small increases are how we get there. So I just want to see, yes, that did indeed help out The wheel spin actually helped out sportiness too. Ah, bigger top speed and a better gear ratio. Okay then. Let's keep going with this until it starts hurting us. Even better. Alright, and it's helping our mileage. 47.4. I would buy that car. Probably not. It's way too slow. MR2 is about the slowest car I will ever drive in my life. I have made that a lifelong goal now. Alright, so let's go back to looking at the goals. Everything's even besides material cost. So making it cheaper is the best way to get more points. So you remember earlier how I said this is a challenge that you're building to a specific list of specifications. So even though if I was building a car I would want it to be safe, for this challenge we don't necessarily need that. So let's go with no safety and see if that helps our score. It does indeed. We lose a little tameness, but we gained weight, manufacture time, and material cost. So now we're getting dangerously close, 1169 to 1200. We'll continue making it better. Alrighty, so I have been fine-tuning a little bit and reduced the engine size just a little bit more. Went with more comfortable brake pads to try and get the tameness up, and that has improved it. So now I need something to just cross us over into that silver range, and that's when I get desperate and start doing things that, as a future car manufacturer with Vector Automotive, make me cringe, but I'm going to do it anyway. The interior of this car has no bearing on its score as far as I can tell. So if I take this interior quality and I'm going to shield my eyes and look away from the screen. If I do that with it, it does indeed. It brings us up to silver. It did bring our tameness down a little, so I want to look at what that did to it. But we did get silver, and that is what I wanted. There's probably a lot of things you could do to make this cheaper, and that is probably where the gold and platinum scores would come from. But silver is the kind of the bottom line of the challenge that I have set for myself, so I am pleased with that. So yeah, I want to look at, just out of curiosity, what that hurt in tameness. Obviously, yes, I have lost lateral acceleration. Wheel spin is down. I bet it's because I reduced the weight of the vehicle, so it is now getting more wheel spin in relation to how much power it has, or doesn't have. Alrighty, well that completes the Rice and Curry challenge, or scenario if you will. And next we will be moving on to a medium challenge called Brick Restoration. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next time.